Remember Marley's ghost? Remember Scrooged with Bill Murray? And A Christmas Carol from Disney? Yeah, Disney is all about the magic. What's the magic? Mixing microbes, ultra low frequency, aggressive heat, aggressive cold, causing chemical reactions, and developing life, developing so much diverse life, and studying the intelligence and adding energy to it, increasing the intelligence and intellectual capability if you're human. And so, yeah, we're in that situation right now with all the magic of all the microbes coming together and doing what the system is intending to do. And so all of us are ghosts of the past. All of us are. We came from the past. Obviously, the system has intermixed so much diversity together to develop so many different prototypes, because they have to find the most adaptable, the most intellectually capable, as well as a culture who has extreme potential to be something amazing and I don't know, part of the future. And so when you think about what happened in the Middle Ages, and then the therapies developing so much diverse life that you had to build a society around that. And with that diverse life, it's not just children. It's also cancer, disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, teratomas. And then you have other life forms, such as the animal kingdom, the different phylums, the classifications. And the system has to play with all the different microbes to develop an amazing race of humans, an amazing race of animals. And so you're kind of in an aggressive petri dish that you must figure out if you can handle that storyline or regurgitate the ones that were given to you at birth by your parents, by your family, by your friends, by your society. And so right now we're in a great decline or a great reset, because the population boom of the Middle Ages developed everything, especially what you see today. And now we have a lot of innovation, a lot of diversity, and a lot of wars, a lot of intolerance. And so the system has to clean itself up. And we're in the process of right now experiencing the cleanup of our society, and also see what happens when you develop so much diversity on bodies in deficit, and why we had child brides out there, because their bodies were procreated on so much that they developed puberty at such an early age. And then, yeah. And so the system knows exactly what it's doing. And I kind of feel sorry. I was thinking about feeling sorry for Dr. Fauci, because he's part of biotech. Biotech is not bad. It's how you use biotech and what it's being used for. And some people don't know what biotech would be used for. I mean, it would be used for one thing, but then it could change and be used as something completely opposite. And so some people in the medical holistic, actually all people in the medical holistic energy healing world, are sitting ducks for a change that, if they don't realize what they're doing is going to have the extreme opposite because we're in climate change, then they will be a target for a lot of retribution from people who are suffering so much. And so Dr. Fauci was born into a system developing prototypes and developing microbes and developing ways to cure cancer, disease, chronic illness, and that develops offspring, life forms, and sometimes it turns into people. You are the virus. And that was the storyline, because it was a storyline that needed to exist so that humanity can find a way to advance itself. And so now the storyline has changed. the climate has changed. Did Dr. Fauci know that whatever he was developing, that he was told to develop, would turn into something turbo, something aggressive, to the point where people are looking for blood, and even Congress is taking pot shots at him? I don't know what he knew and when he knew it. But so many of us were told that we're in climate change. Everything is changing. And people are in denial. So when you have the Republicans in denial that we're in climate change, and then you have Biden, who is advocating people get tested for COVID, they get the vaccinations, which, okay, they're not poison in of itself. But when you add in climate change, particle acceleration, and everyone holding the little beasts inside that inevitably will come out, you're going to have an aggressive life form called a new variant that will be highly influential. And when people are already doing all their different therapies and all that, you're making those microbes even more influential. And so then when people start dying suddenly or getting turbo cancers, they want to know where it came from. Was it a specific microbe? Was it something developed in a lab? Everything that all of us have been developed in a lab. That whole Wuhan developing a lab thing was like smoke and mirrors. No, it was basically all of our microbes put together in the lab and then delivered through therapeutics, but also with this climate change, people hanging out together. People breathing in each other's microbes and coughing on each other, sharing all different types of things with each other, mixing DNA, having children, having so many different sexual partners. Okay, and so then you have all these new diseases and old diseases come up and become influential, and then you're having a resurgence of not only the disease and the cancers that may have been put to sleep a long time ago, like polio, but then you also have children and other types of situations that people are like, what the hell is going on? Aggressive lifestyles and personalities. And so, yeah, I mean, this is way beyond most people's comprehension. And I'll tell you, not many people understand where this is coming from because they are in a fixed storyline called the Bible or some other storyline that has a beginning, middle, and an ending, like a Hollywood ending, but not necessarily a happy ending. And so people knew that they were the virus and they were the pandemic, and then climate change has accelerated what they already expected to die and whatever, then they're going to go look for the culprit. They're going to look for someone to go and blame it on. And so instead of doing what we did way back when, during the witch trials and all those different times where they strung people up, it's channeled through the justice system, and someone will always take the fall. So the system will still realize its intentions, and they will have ways to channel people's anger and frustration and helplessness, and then they can find a scapegoat that, for all intents and purposes, were either set up and they didn't know what was going to happen, or they knew they were going to take the fall and they would have to play this part. I mean, just like Trump, I feel sorry for him because he can't get out of whatever he's doing. He already said he doesn't believe in climate change, and he's already thinking he can save America, but it's already gone. And so if he went back home, he's still going to have to deal with his own BS. And he already has so many followers and so many people who are financing his position that he can't get out of whatever he's doing. He has to play the role. He's basically trapped. Biden, he's trapped too. You know, when you want to go and find out the origination of when they encourage people to go get tested and to go get therapized, yeah, it was the Biden administration. But again, he was only told what he thought was right at the time. And no different than Dr. Fauci. Did they know that climate change was going to accelerate people's intentions or accelerate what their immune system would eventually do at some point that they've already accepted? Cancer disease, chronic illness, autoimmune disorders, turbo cancers, and heart attacks and strokes and aneurysms? Probably not. Maybe the system knew, But I don't think Fauci or Trump or Biden really knew the bigger picture. And so there's so many different pieces to the puzzle that we're all getting exposed to. And all of us have been used as a tool to get different aspects of the information out. But once we finally piece it together, it's too late. People are not conditioning to survive. They can't change. They're already locked into their politics, their religion, and their science dogmas. Their friends and family expect them to perform in a specific way. It's done. And so, when you're given a storyline that you've regurgitated for so many years, how do you go and change your words? The fact that I wasn't raised in a very entrenched storyline gave me the ability to change. I was the Uracil. I was the Divergent. I watched that actually the other day, Divergent and the trilogy. It's on Netflix. But I was the Divergent. I was the Uracil that's in the RNA that allows the person to adapt to the conditions so the DNA doesn't resist the changes. The RNA gives them the ability to change. And so right now, all of humanity is being given access to different storylines that they either can reject or assimilate to and evolve to. It's hard to just condition yourself to another storyline when you've been regurgitating the same one over and over again. But right now, humanity is being given that choice. But America, the last greatest experiment. Well, we have people in the Bible Belt and other places. They have no ability to change, like none. And the system knows this. They've done their experiments. They've done their observations. They've surveyed the population, and that's why you're seeing so many storms. That's why you're seeing so much aggressive death and destruction. And there's nothing you can do again to stop it. You just have to understand that maybe there is a possibility, even though you might have your Christianity and Judaism and whatever else, it can evolve. You don't have to die with your religion. It doesn't have to be an ultimate ending like, what is it? Revelations or something. I mean, yes, there's Judgment Day, but you could survive Judgment Day. I mean, that's what we're in right now is Judgment Day. Everything you've ever done to your body, mind, and spirit is now coming to surface, and you're now choosing to embrace the changes and release demons, stay home, stay safe, whatever, or go out there and resist what's going on and end up dying anyways because the system also gave you that option. They weren't going to stop you from doing what you wanted to do, so as long as it was legal. And so what I'm saying is that there is another storyline to be had. And again, if you are in that entrenched formula of beginning, middle, and end, then you've done it to yourself. And if you surround yourself with people who believe in beginning, middle, and ending to a life, then inevitably you're going to pass that on to your friends and family and your children, because the habits in the lifestyles, belief systems will translate in behaviors, will translate in the choices even your children make, will translate in the choices your friends and family make. And so there's no way for me to win out there. Believe me, I would love everyone out there to save themselves, but I can't even impose that. I can't impose that upon my husband, because what does that mean anyways? And so everyone's going to have to live out what they ultimately think is what life is to them with that storyline. So when I was bringing up that movie, Stranger Than Fiction, yeah. When you have a running monologue in your head and then you have all these little voices out there telling you this and that and everything else, and you can say it's God, or you can say it's friends and family, or you can say it's propaganda, either way. But if you have the ability to take all that information in and process it and develop your own storyline that still would be part of the main storyline out there, but you can still diverge a little bit, then you might have a chance to survive what's going on. But again, there's no guarantee with anything. Okay? And then there's my storyline, that if you have the ability to process my information and grasp some aspects of it, that's another thought process you could potentially consider. And again, I can never say that you are in the condition to change your lifestyle, your beliefs, and your politics, religion, and science. And so some people will be relegated to live out the storylines that they have not only adopted, but they were raised with. And the only reason why I'm saying all these things that I'm saying is because that way you understand why the system is doing what it's doing. Not because they don't like you guys, not because they don't think you guys are fine. Everyone's fine. It's the fact that some people have the ability to evolve and change. Others are so resistant, and they've had violence and other things instilled into them that they are acting out, and it translates into their children. And so when you have violent demons crawling this earth, well, eventually the system has to clean that up. And so those that can survive climate change and evolution will survive and also adhere to the new world. And others that can't, they will resist until they destroy themselves. And they'll pass on that resistance to their friends and family and their children, and they won't survive. And that's kind of the situation that we're in. That's why you're seeing so much died suddenly, so many turbo cancers, so much resistance. And that's why you see people worshiping Trump and laughing at Biden. It's whatever. They're used as tools. You can't stop what's here. You can't stop what's coming. It's here. So all I could offer is giving you the reason why they're doing this, and then maybe you might have a chance if you have enough substance to you. And that's all I can really say. Okay? I mean, and so yeah, Dr. Fauci, he probably didn't know that climate change was going to make everything accelerated. Dr. Fauci was probably used as a puppet and a tool, and he didn't know. He was just doing what he was supposed to do, what his job was. Just like everybody in the medical holistic industry, they're doing what they were trained to do. But once they know that what they're doing is probably accelerating the outcome of death, destruction, and cancer, disease, and chronic illness, will they be like, okay, maybe it's time for me to get away from the industry, or they're going to just go and fulfill whatever they have to so they can pay off their bills and do whatever and then get out? But who knows if they're going to survive them trying to do that. That's the thing about what's going on is, when do you quit? How do you know when you're ahead? Do you think you'll survive reaching certain financial goals during this climate change, knowing that you are holding so many beasts within? That's what people have to figure out. When do they quit? And there are so many indicators. But again, it's a gamble. Everything's a gamble. So I quit when I was ahead and found a different way. And that's why I am doing everything I can to figure out how to exist on my own without a husband or somebody. I've got the luxury that my husband's on the road most of the time, so I know how to exist by myself, even without him. And then when he is around, learn whatever I can and teach him whatever I can so he can make his own choices. But eventually, we're going to have to find a way to exist on our own. If not, then yeah, you live out your life and then you embrace whatever you believe. And so I feel bad for him. People were doing what they're trained to do, and some will be able to change, others cannot. Dr. Fauci was given so much latitude, and he's given, fame and fortune and a plushy life, and he contributed to the sciences and to humanity. And sometimes when you have a meteoric rise, the fall is just as great. And so you don't want to rise too high because a fall will be so deadly. So you rise just enough where you can handle the fall. And so thank God that I rose just high enough where the fall of me evolving was not going to destroy me. And that's kind of what's going on. People are rising so much, making so much money, fame and fortune, influencing. They can't get away from their friends and family and lifestyle. If they were to actually quit, the fall would be too great. So they're forced into just rising until they supernova. And that's kind of the situation we're in. And so that's why I say don't put too much emphasis in money, power, fame, and influence and friends and family, because it will destroy you, especially now, especially during climate change. Because the system brought you to life through the vaccinations from the Middle Ages, and then all the oncology and climate change and all the fertility will also end your life if you don't know how to manage a life in your body, mind, and spirit, and in your community. And so, yeah. And so yesterday I was looking at how the pandemic became even more aggressive. And it was because, yes, all the contributions of people's microbes during the particle acceleration or climate change then gave the system ammunition to develop the ultimate human. So whoever can handle all of this diversity in the population, from whatever's implanted in them, from their lifetime of choices, and whatever they breathe in when they go into a crowded room, And then you're going to manage how you're going to develop a tolerance to the evolution and the symptoms. And I've been telling you, I've been waking up these demons like progressively. And I've been able to wake them up, feed them, hang out with them for a minute, and release them. And it is a progressive, systematic process. You cannot be like, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And you got to have the support system around you, which means sometimes not having anyone around you or very little people around you is enough to give you that opportunity to save yourself. But if you have to be around people, yeah. And if you have to depend upon other people to keep you entertained, yeah. If you have to take care of a bunch of people, yeah, it's done. And so, yeah, I'm just going to say, yeah. So that's all I'm going to say right now. But as you can see, not everybody was apprised of the bigger picture. We've all been given slices of the pie, the knowledge of what's going on based upon the need to know basis. And now with social media and the internet, all the different pieces of the pie are coming together and sharing information, and people are piecing things together. By the time they piece the whole thing together, which was already told you in the Georgia Guidestones, but by the time people piece the whole thing together and they find a way to survive, most people out there will not survive because they don't have the conditioning to. They came upon the information too late, or they were too far gone, or they were in too much resistance that it was just done with. Same thing. But yes, I'm sure Trump and Biden and Obama and all these different people, whoever, Oprah, were given aspects, and even everybody in Hollywood and politics and all the religions were given pieces of the pie. And then they took off with whatever piece of the pie they were given. And they made their money or did whatever they did. And now we are at that point. We are at the day of reckoning. And I hope you survive knowing whatever pieces of the pie you've come upon and were allowed to observe through your own immune system. Because some people don't have the capacity in the brain to put together whatever it is, because they don't have too much diversity on their Facebook. They have a homogenized audience. And you could have one divergent in your homogenized audience and you would resist them and make fun of them. So it doesn't matter if you have someone that actually giving you a major piece of the pie that could potentially save your life, because you were brought into their world through the universe to resist, to make then your beliefs so much stronger, and then you would take yourself out along with your friends and family. So simply having diversity on your Facebook is not enough. It's having enough diversity that you can put the pieces together. But just having one person of conspiracy world on your Facebook won't be enough to wake you up. Anything, you'll be used as a resistance tool and as someone to make fun of course. So the evolution of people and potentially surviving this would rely on someone who has so much diversity on their Facebook with so many storylines that they're able to process the information, make the connections, find the patterns, and then also set themselves up so they can survive whatever's going on, whatever that means. I don't even know what that means. All right, so that's all I'm going to say. My husband's home and hang out with him for a minute, but I wanted to put this out there and to show you, hey, I'm still alive. I'm doing great. My arm's not hurting at all. I'm good. I survived that last beast that woke up within. And so I'm just representation that you could survive evolution if you go through a systematic process. And it's fucking painful. Again, I can't say that you can do what I'm doing, but I'm just showing you a representation that some humans can actually surpass the Hayflick limit. Because I'm 50 years old. This is when the Hayflick limit could basically trigger a cancer disease and chronic illness. Another entity trying to come in and take over. Hi, TJ. Hello. Nice to see you. Good to see you. And Grace and all of you guys. Okay. So I'm now on the next Hayflick limit, which is another immortalized germline cell that has its downline of somatic cells that will have the ability to redouble itself 50 times over. And that's based upon Dr. Leonard Hayflick. And he discovered the mortality of somatic cells. And of course, Henrietta Lacks discovered the immortality of germline cells. And those two worlds work together, and that's the evolution. That's where the uracil steps in and evolves a person so they can survive the next atmosphere. You have the ability if you're still alive, but it doesn't mean you can handle it, because it's a conditioning. All right, bye.